Hello everybody. In this video I'm just going to go over some loops. You're going to use loops a lot in VBA. They're pretty useful, so let's look at loops and see how they work, and you can mess around with them. I'm going to write a loop that will put a value in the first 10 rows of column A. So to get to the editor, remember, right click on your toolbar, click Visual Basic, and you'll get this toolbar that pops up on the window here. Let's insert a new module so we have a blank module, and let's call this sub loops. And first thing we need to do is increment rows, so we're going to need a variable. So let's declare a variable with dim x. Remember, dim is how you declare a variable as integer. So x is going to be the row, and now we want to do a loop. Do until x is equal to 10. Loop x is equal to x plus 1. And now you put, so this loop right here is going to go from, let's say we have to initialize it at 1, so it's going to start out at 1 and it's going to loop 10 times or 9 times. And what we want to do with that is we want to put a value in these cells. So we select the cells, okay. So what this will do, if we just run this, it puts 1 in the first 9 cells, 9 rows of column A. And you'll see that it stopped at row 9. We want it to go to row 10, and that's because a do until will stop before it gets to the end of the row you want. So you have to increase it by 1 if you want to do that. But a better way to do it is to do a while statement. So do while x is less than or equal to a while loop, I mean. And in this case, you don't have to increment it one more than your last row. So if you do a do while, let me just clear this, and you run it, you'll see that because you changed the do until to a do while loop, it'll loop until x is less than or equal to 10, which means it's going to hit the 10th row. When x is incremented down here, it's going to go back up and go back through the loop. Okay, so that's a do until, a do while loop. Let's look at another loop, which is a for loop. And a for loop, you start out with for x is equal to 1 to 10. Do this, put the value in there, but you don't do a loop down here, you do next x. And you don't need this x is equal to x plus 1 because that's what the next x is going to do. If you didn't delete that, let me just show you if you didn't delete that, and then you run it, you'll see you don't get what you want because you're incrementing twice down here. The next x increments once, but before that you incremented twice. You don't want to do that. You want to increment only once, so now when you run it, you get what you want and it goes down to 10. So the best loops for this example were a for loop and a do while loop. And you'll see that they're very useful, and you're going to use them a lot in VBA. One thing about the for statement is you can use this step language. So if you do step 2, it's going to skip an x. It's going to step over an x. So it incremented twice. And if you do step 3, it'll do the same thing, only increment 3 times. This is something you might want to use, you might not, but it's just another little thing that for loops do. So that's pretty much all you need to know about loops. You have do while, do until, and you have for loops. And just remember, you're going to be incrementing something, so you want to declare a variable to increment down rows or across columns. You could, if you wanted to go across columns, we could do that here too, real quick. And we'll get a diagonal. So dim y is integer, and this is going to create a diagonal that goes from 1 1 to 10 10. The cells. So let me just clear this. And what we should get is something in this cell, something in this cell, something in this cell, all the way down to 10. So if we run it, oops, I think we got to use a different loop here. Let's do while, because the for loop, you can't do x and y. So do while x less than or equal to 10, x is equal to x plus 1. I also have to put y is equal to x plus 1, or y is equal to y plus 1. Okay, so now I incremented x and I incremented y. I put the loop in. Let's run it. Okay, so there you go. You're incrementing a row and a column, and you're going all the way across 10 times. You're on the 10th row. So those are loops for you. You could do a lot of crazy stuff with loops and play around with them. And let me know if you have any questions. Please comment and have a good day.